Hello and welcome to another Crafty Snipers Airsoft video. Now normally I do gun review videos and I will be touching on to the kit review videos, but I decided to start off by doing a match review video. Now that means basically yesterday I went to Lincolnshire Airsoft Club's event and I had an absolutely fantastic time there. There was a couple of down points to yesterday's match, which I will get on to. But basically, pretty much the whole day went fantastic for me. Never had any gun problems, which is always great news. And had a great day. So anyway, for those of you who wanted to know, my kit loadout yesterday consisted of, weapon-wise anyway, the G&G Gims, which is an AK-47 essentially, a top tech AK-47 I must say. And because I'd got a TM MP5K last week I think it was, I also decided to take this out and run it up against the likes of the M4s and the AKs and all the rest of the guns that turn up on a standard match. So basically I was itching to get this out in a match, and now I know what it's like. Now, anyway, back onto the event yesterday. For those of you who don't know, Lincolnshire Airsoft Club hold matches pretty much every other weekend. Sometimes in the summer we start 3 matches on the trot. We always have matches on a Sunday. It's a standard skirmish style matches, not mil-sim events, so pretty much anyone can come along and have an absolutely fantastic day. The guys at LAC run these matches brilliantly. They've got a very good system now set up for marshals, and if you ever have a problem with, I don't know, let's say you forget the rules, you forget the match rules for that particular match you're playing, just go and ask them. They're very, very friendly. You have any problems related to your kit or your guns, they've got a gun tech on hand who knows pretty much all there is to know about AEG weapons and can point you in the right direction of where to get your bits from, the replacement bits. And also, I can't get through this even better, but they're so friendly. And that's also the people that turn up to these events, the actual LAC members. If you just go up to them and you want to know anything about the weapon that they're using, they're friendly. You know, they're quite happy to show, they're proud to show you whatever weapon it is they've got. And that's what I love about LAC. I've been to a few other matches held by other events, other companies in the UK, and I haven't really got that friendliness down. I don't know whether that's the fact that I was new to that style, their company. I hope that was just the only reason. If I kept turning up there, that they would be just as friendly. But, you know, I have to go with what I know at the moment, and LAC is the best place for me to do my airsofting, or to get my airsofting fix even. Now, yesterday, we did, let's start off with the weather, because the weather in the UK, especially now we're getting, well, we're into November, actually doing this video, it's now December, so the weather is always going to be a bit of a, you don't know what it's going to be. If it's going to be a hot sunny day, or it's going to be a freezing cold day, in which case you probably won't enjoy the weather or the airsoft. Now, for me personally, I love it when it rains. It starts to add that extra dimension to the airsoft, and it really starts it makes an event really, really good. That being said, I do like the summer days. I don't like to freeze my whatever's off. But yesterday, weather-wise, for November, it was really, really warm. I don't know, about 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 degrees, you know, throughout the rest of the day. So even though I dressed for winter, which is essentially what it is, I could have got away with my summer loadout just about. It was lovely. So weather-wise, brilliant. Now, obviously when we all do our airsofting, we kind of don't really want to have gun issues. And I have to say, thankfully, for me, yesterday, no gun issues. My AK sailed through chronoing, coming in at around the 315 to 320 mark on .2 ammunition. I actually use .25s in this gun because .25s in this are just make this gun such a beastly weapon to use. As for the MP5, because it's TM, obviously it came in at the usual 180 mark, so that I wasn't expecting to have any issues with. I will get onto this later because I did actually use this in a match, and I'll tell you about that when I get onto it. Basically, for 3/4 of the day I was the AK man, and for the first couple of matches, I think we had something like an attack and defend certain parts of the site at Curtin, and we had a massive ridge line to clear, and then the enemy team would try to clear the ridge line quicker, and you know, those kind of matches are great. Don't get me wrong; they're designed to get you nice and warm, get you warmed up for the match for the rest of the day, because you know the weather can be cold. So that match went really, really well. Got a few kills. And had a great day. I had a great time doing those kind of matches. Not really my cup of tea, but it was good. What my favourite style of matches are the ones where we have the whole site to play on. And for those of you who don't know, Curtin is massive. We have, like I said earlier, ridge lines. We've got little woods. We've got bigger woods. We've got massive open fields. We have the flats, as we call them, which is completely no cover, and great for firefights to take place. We have something called the salt flats as well, which is a massive open area, floods regularly, and is covered in mud. Now, most of the time, we have objectives on the salt flats. I mean, the salt flats, I can't tell you how big they are. That I can't remember, but they are absolutely huge. It takes you minutes to cover. It takes you even longer if you're walking, but because of the mud and the rain that we've had recently, you very rarely find people wanting to go out there. Quite smartly and wisely as well, because I've been out there when it's muddy, and you end up dragging so much mud on your boots, it's just completely uncomfortable, and that's, you know, you don't want to drop your precious AEG into that kind of stuff. So, anyway, like I said, the matches I like. We have domination flags littered all around the site. And they can either fly a yellow flag or a red flag. And what happens is, I was playing, I think it was yellow team, and if I come up to a flag that is showing red, I just change the flag colour over to yellow. Now that flag now becomes, while it's showing a yellow flag, a respawn point. So if any of the yellow team get killed off, and they're coming back, if they get to this flag and it's still flying yellow, they can respawn off that flag and get back into the fight quicker. Now, we do have what we call dedicated respawn points. There are jump-off points. So those points are yellow and red team respectively. You can't change the colours on those. There's got to be at least one point where your team can respawn from. So usually you find that what the dedicated respawn points are absolutely at the massive distances from each other, so you know, if there isn't any flags showing your colour, you will have to go quite a bit of distance to get back to your dedicated respawn point, and you can jump back in again. So the idea is, or was in this particular match, that there was two rapier missiles littered around LAC. Now these things, if anyone doesn't know what a rapier missile is, I do believe rapier is an anti-aircraft missile. They're not obviously real missiles, they're just something that we've made up, but they do look like the real thing. They're basically 7 or 8 foot long, made out of metal, and they have a device that is used to carry them. Now, the first rapier missile was at the enemy's dedicated jump-off point. The second rapier missile, and its equipment to carry, was somewhere else on the site. Not at our respawn point, it was somewhere in the map. And the idea was, each team had to get both these rapier missiles and the devices used to carry them to another drop-off point. Now, as soon as, let's say for instance, red team got a missile and the device to carry it with to that dedicated drop-off point, that missile becomes safe. Okay, that missile then is wrapped up in red armbands to indicate that that missile was brought here by the red team. And that is a point for the red team. They then have to get the second rapier missile, which remember is hidden. We didn't know where it was. You get that missile, and you get it to that same drop-off point, and again, if it was red team in this case, they would have the red armbands put on that missile, and that missile is safe, and henceforth another point. There was, I do believe, ammo carriers, which are best part of a couple of foot long metal containers, which would hold bullets or whatever, henceforth why they're called ammo carriers. And same thing, you get hold of them, and you get them to that same drop-off point where the rapiers are. and it's points for that team, whoever does it. When that ammo box gets there, it's got the armbands of that colour of that team that brought it in, put onto it, and it's a point for whatever team that is. So it's basically a scavenger game with guns, which is my cup of tea. So how did this match go? How did this match turn out? Well, now I was on yellow team. We didn't have a rapier missile at our base. We didn't know where the second rapier missile was. So we just went out to find the hidden rapier missile and also stop the enemy team from, you know, taking their rapier missile to this drop-off point and finding the hidden one. And very quickly, we did find the second hidden rapier missile. Now, even though Curtin is an absolutely massive, vast site with lots of places to hide stuff, it's quite hard to hide something that is essentially 8 foot long, and the device to carry it is the best part of 8 foot long. So we found that very quickly. Now the rules are, when you are carrying a device in at Lincolnshire Airsoft, is how many handles does the device have? And in this case, it has 4 handles, 4 rope handles. So that means 4 people have got to carry this device. In this case, the rapier missile. So we got our 4 people to pick this missile up. We had then joined up with another group, small group of our team, whose job was to provide cover for the transport team. Now, when you're transporting a device, whether it be the rapier missile, whether it be the ammo box, whether it be whatever it is, you can't run, you can't jog, you can't scoot along, you've got to walk. It's walking pace. And that kind of has a bit of a problem. It's a double-edged sword. You've got your missile, you're dragging it along, like the enemy team now can very quickly get on top of you and put you under pressure. Now, the job of the transport team is just to hold this missile. They can fire back, obviously, but they're not really going to be that good because you're holding this 8-foot missile. You're not going to have correct aimed, accurate fire from your guns. That job then falls to another group of players who will be the defensive squad for this transport team. And yours truly here was at the front as the point man, making sure that it was me that found the enemy first. If the enemy turned up, it was me that would get the drop, basically get shot, but I would be able to put fire down on the enemy team that were attacking, giving our transport team time to put the missile down, get into defensive position and start attacking the enemy squad when they decide to attack. Now, as it was, they never turned up. We managed to actually get this whole missile, 4 people carrying it, me up front, 3 or 4 people behind the transport team. We got it all the way to the drop-off point without firing a single shot. Brilliant. That's point for us. So now we have to go get the second missile. Now, the enemy team basically just went straight out for finding this missile that we've already got now. They left the first missile, the one at their base, they left it unguarded, so we just went straight in and grabbed it and went straight back out again and dropped it off. So very quickly we managed to get both rapier missiles. In the time that we got the second rapier missile from the enemy base to this drop-off point, we also picked up 1 or 2 of the ammo boxes. So basically we objectively wiped out the enemy. Now, I wasn't actually involved in the acquisition of the rapier missile from the enemy base. I, by this point, had gone off on my own to do what I do best, which is hunt the enemy down. Now, obviously, with the AK-47 that I have great range and great rate of fire on this gun, and was able to get quite a few kills with this gun. This gun is actually fantastic. I actually love this gun. The range on it is just impressive. It probably does outrange an M4. It's probably got an M16 length barrel in it, so, you know, range-wise, it's awesome. Because it's using 11.1 lipos, the fire rate on it is fantastic. I think it's somewhere in the region of 21 rounds a second, which is only just short of Tokyo Marie's even high cycle range. So that shows you how fantastic this gun is on the rate of fire. So, you know, I mean, I got the first objective there with the rest of the team, and I just decided basically to go off and do what I do best, which is hunt the enemy down. And, you know, like I said, got a few kills, got killed a couple of times myself, but basically, you know, we stop the enemy from doing their job, finding these missiles. Now, obviously, for 3/4 of the game, 3/4 of the day, I used my AK. Fantastic, never skipped a beat, worked brilliantly. Let's move on, because I will do a review on the AK in depth, because I want to get onto this. Now, as I said in the unboxing video, which I did previously, this gun should not really outrange M4s. It's got a tiny length in a barrel, and I know it's Tokyo Marui, and their hop systems are awesome, brilliant and all that, but let's face facts, I've only got 30 round mags for this gun, so if I get into a sustained fire or sustained action from the enemy, I don't have many shots to get down on the enemy before I need to do something, either that be die or retreat to a more favourable position. So I have to change my playstyle. With the AK, I can go right up to the enemy, get into defensive positions and trade shots with them. That's brilliant, and that's what the AK is designed for. With the MP5, on the other hand, I had to change my tactics to basically hunter-killer, I think is what I'm going to call it. And hunter-killer tactics are a little bit different. What I have to do is get into a position where I can see the enemy. And whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, whoever, how many enemy soldiers. And now my job is to get within an accurate range so that this weapon becomes effective. Now, as I've said, the range on this gun is actually quite good. It's probably 35, 40 metres, maybe even a bit longer. But I want to be able to guarantee that when I shoot this gun, I get a kill. So I'm looking at the 25 to 30 metre range for this particular gun. Now, we have, there's a road that's going through LAC, through the site, and we have defensive positions with hay bale walls and hay bale little fortresses and things like that. And they basically become a magnet for teams to get into and put fire down on each other. And that's wonderful. It's a brilliant idea. It works really well. But remember, I haven't really got the accurate range of an M4 with this thing. So my tactics changed. When this happened, when I got into a position where I could fire, or should I say our team were firing on the enemy team and it was all in defensive positions, I skipped over to the side. I went into a field that runs parallel to the road in question, and basically was able to sneak up to the positions where the enemy are, hidden behind their hay bales. Now they are perfectly hidden from our team who are firing from their position, but they're not hidden from me. So I got into line with 2 or 3, in this case red team members, who were firing on my guys. And I was able to get within 15 or so metres of them. Made sure that I had a full magazine in this, because 30 rounds ain't going to last a long time. And I thought to myself, I had a choice. I either go full auto and just spray, which I don't like doing, or I go and pick my shots. So I put it into single shot, and took aim, and took out the first 2 closest red team members to my position. I now had to get this third person, and the third person didn't realise that I was the one that had shot his 2 mates. So he's still firing at our guys. So I'm now able to pick my shots at him. I put 2 or 3 shots into him. Brilliant. Got the shots off, killed the 3 members, and that allows the rest of our yellow team members to push up and take those positions that were held by the red team. Brilliant tactic. Don't go, when you've got a little gun like this, you've really got to think about how you're going to kill the enemy. So, absolutely thoroughly in love with the MP5. I think it's an awesome gun. As a sniper secondary, it's going to be a brilliant gun. What would I change on this gun to make it a better gun when you're wanting to do the hunter-killer style tactics? Well, first of all, 30 rounder mags, not big enough. So I will look at getting some 90 round magazines, which will make it a lot better. After that, I wouldn't touch it. This gun works brilliantly. That's all that needs to change on it. Now, as with all good things, there was a couple of little niggly bits that annoyed the crud out of me. It's the bulletproof players. Okay, it's the players that you put the rounds into and they just completely and utterly ignore you. Now, I'm not going to name players. I'm not going to really go on about this. It does something that really does annoy me, but that's just airsoft. And I do admit that at long ranges, when you're shooting them with your standard AEG, they may not feel it. They may not hear the BB smacking their plate carrier or whatever, especially if it's behind them. They just may be concentrating too much on what's going on in front of them. However, the first time this happened to me yesterday, I was on the ridge. And I was on my own. And I was sneaking up on a fort that is below the ridge in what we call the LZ, which is an open field. And I thought to myself, if I got to the ridge, got up onto the ridge, and got to the point where the fort is, I can put sustained fire down onto this fort, wiping out whoever's in it, because they were holding off quite a few people. So I've got on the ridge. I am now in full sneaky mode. I'm not making quick movement. I am keeping an eye, because I don't know who's on this ridge. And basically, I got all the way to where this fort is below me. And as I got to this fort, there's a little track that runs down the ridge to this fort. And just as I get there, there is an enemy player walking backwards up the fort. I can't believe my luck. I'm on one side of the ridge, this player is a little bit below me, but I'm still seeing the full chest, head area of him. And he's got his back turned to me. Brilliant. I could have shot him with a handgun. I didn't have a handgun. I had my AK. So I now have enemy player dead to rights. I mean, I'm not close enough to use a bang kill, but I am close enough, obviously, to shoot him. So, single shot, which is mostly what I use my gun on, and I put 3 rounds straight into his back. 2 of the rounds went into his lower end back, and 1 of them went up top, but centre area, so in his spinal area. I heard all 3 rounds smack the player. The player then turns round to me. I realise he has a sniper rifle, so he can't shoot me. He's less than 35 metres. We're talking 25, 20 metres, probably even less than that, to be honest. And all he does is, he doesn't put his hand up. Now, if he puts his hand up, that's him admitting to me that I've killed him. And all he does is walks back down the ridge, back down to that fort. I'm like, well, no, the rules are you get shot, you stay there where you get shot, and you put your flag up, you call your hit, and you wait, if it's possible, for your team members to come and respawn you, which is what I thought he would do. So I didn't want to close in. I wanted to now be in a perfect position for any any medicing players to come up, and I'll take them out as well. And what happened? Like I said, he just turns around, looks at me, and then walks back down the ridge. And I'm like, okay, you haven't called your hit, you haven't put your yellow flag up to say you hit. What's he doing? So I'm now thinking, well, is he going to go to one side of the fort and just, I don't know, chat with his mates? And I basically get right up to where this track starts, and I look down, and he's now in the fort with the rest of his players, and he's not dead. And it's like, okay, you know, fine, so be it. I'm now in a position where I wanted to be from the get-go, which is right up above that fort, and I'm now putting accurate fire with this gun, with 100 round mid-caps, and basically taking out 2 or 3 players, probably including the player that I shot already, and I cleared that bunker out. It was also at the same time when our team was pushing forward, so they were getting attacked from 2 or 3 different sides. They never stood a chance. But basically, the end of the game was that fort eradicated, all players in it dead. And like I said, I'm not going to go on about this player. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. There was a second occasion at the last match when I was using the MP5, and like I said, I was using the hunter-killer tactics. I found my player that I wanted to kill, and I was able to sneak up and ahead of him as he was walking through some bushes in front of me. And I basically worked out that my position would need to be where it was, where I ended up, where I could see straight through a nice clear run at this player as he walked ahead of me, which would be about 15-20 metres away. Ideal range for this. I made sure that I had a full magazine of 30 rounds in it. I got into my position, hunkered down, player walks in front of me, no yellow flag. I always like to make sure, because sometimes the yellow flags are down at the side, you know, they don't make them very visible, some of the players. I made sure he did not have a yellow flag up. He also had his gun ready to shoot. So he's not got his gun down here, he's not walking along, you know, in a rather dejected, dead mood. He was actually, gun was armed, and he's walking as if he intends on shooting whoever he comes across. So I put, I think in this case it was about 5 shots into him, because the light was fading. But again, 5 shots, and I heard 3 or 4 of them smack straight into this player from 20 odd metres. And all this player does again his look and walks on. It's not the same player, but he just walked on. And I was like, okay. At that point, the match was over. The match was then finished, and we won that one, I do believe. And I was like, okay, why? You know, why do players do that? But that's just Airsoft. I will talk about that in detail a little bit on another video. But that was just yesterday's match. Now, don't take that as an LAC match. You know, the people can do what they like. It's a very rare occasion, to me anyway, that I see that sort of thing. Most players, if they don't feel it, it's because it's, you know, they've got the adrenaline flowing, they're firing at something else, they just haven't felt it. So usually the rules are put a few more rounds into them and they will take the hits. So like I say, LAC matches are brilliant, brilliantly run. It was just those two small little gripes throughout the whole of a day, so I'm fine with that. That's okay with me. So anyway, as a conclusion, did the MP5 live up to what I thought it would be? Yes, and then more. Like I said, need 90 round mags, but that's something else. The AK always works well and got me quite a few kills. Now, obviously, in future videos, like I said, I've done the MP5. I will be doing an in-depth video for you guys that want to know about my AK. And I hopefully will be doing more videos on match reviews. It depends what kind of state I'm in at the moment. I'm in absolute agony, but that means I've had a good day. I also want to go on to, you know, the topics that are bugging you lot at the moment, you Airsoft players at the moment. Now, some people have discussed with me the players that don't want to take their hits. I'm quite happy to rant on about that on another video. There's another player who wants to discuss tactics, so I will go on to that, because as a sniper, tactics really do come into it. And also with standard AGs, I start to use tactics. So I'm going to start discussing with you guys what I find as useful ways of doing my Airsoft matches with whatever weapon it is that I'm using at the time. So, until then, stay safe, don't do anything stupid, that's my job. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.